The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
I feel like I've come perilously close sometimes with... I feel like we all kind of sometimes will stumble upon that somebody that has I feel like I heard Mike in a podcast a while back, but that was dangerously, that person could probably sit in on the show and get away with being me.
Yeah.
And I played it for my wife, and she kind of, it was a little bit off, but I mean, she has to listen to me piss and moan, so she probably could tell the nuance. But it is at a listen, it's creepy as hell.
It sounded like you slowed down about 7%, just enough to make you sound different. But it just blew my mind when I first heard it. I said, "There is no way he's actually doing this." I'm like, "No, it can't be."
If it was a different subject, then yeah, I could totally if it was any other mundane thing, sure. But or if it was satire. But it was not at all. It was complete. I kind of scrolled through it, and it's just Jesus, this is crazy.
That dude is way, way, way off the reservation. Way off the reservation.
So, Andy, how many global catastrophes are the Jews responsible for?
All of them, Mike. You know that. Come on.
Mike, that would have to acknowledge that the Jews are a human institution. You have to really look at the original Egyptian alien group. The original Jews were actually brought in from Venus, along with women. Women are, as we know, from Venus. Men are from Mars. And
man, I'm telling you, because of all recent events, you go through my video feeds, and the algorithm has shifted, so I'm getting the journalist that goes and talks straight to a white supremacist or a Zionist or any of these guys on the fringe, and to hear these people just talk so clearly and plainly, they've clearly rehearsed this these talking points in their head for years. It just is wild. Absolutely wild.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about is it all gas, no brakes?
No, the one that I saw, it was this it was actually this Israeli guy that he's like a 25-year-old Israeli guy. I don't know if he's an actual journalist or not, but it's kind of like a Vice sort of vibe.
Sure.
Where he goes to where did he go? He went to this. There was some meeting of Arab countries in New York City, probably at the United Nations or something like that. And across the street from this, of course, there was some neo-Nazis. And he went up and talked to this guy and just tried to be there and talk to him as calm as possible. Whenever the guy would start to raise his voice, he's like, "Hey, I'm just talking to you. You don't need to yell at me. Let's just talk." And the guy just sitting there spouting, and it just I can't. The amount of time that has to go into switching your worldview completely to something like that is just mind-blowing.
And this really guy went to go talk with neo-Nazis. That's an interesting snapshot of our time. Yeah.
And the thing was, this video, I guess, was from a few months ago, so before our current state of living. And then there was another thing that I was on when I'm working during the day. Since I'm at home, I just have on Hulu and I'm binging through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then as I was going over to my my recently watched tab, they have a new tab on there that was called Black Stories. And the first thing on there was this Vice show called Hate Thy Neighbor.
That's a great name.
Yeah. And the first episode, the little description for the first episode was this guy goes and talks to white supremacists in this small town in Pennsylvania, and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting enough. So I clicked on it, and it just makes your skin crawl with how normal it is. But they're just like, yeah, no, come on in and we'll have dinner, and yeah, I hate everything who you are and what you exist for, but I'm still a nice guy with a family that's trying to raise my kids, and it's like. It's wild. It's wild.
That's an encouraging thing in a way, because it's almost like when I'm talking to you as a human being, it's like you don't have the balls to actually like enforce your weird mania. But right. When you're like, but as soon as like the computer comes on or whatever, you have your phone and you're back in your bubble, it's like, okay, now I can like just put on my mask and lose my mind. Yeah. Like,
well, that was one guy. His wife was there and was like, and he asked her like to her face, because like the first they're Holocaust deniers, of course. So
par for the course.
He was just like, hey, so would you support a second genocide of the Jews? And he's like, well, there wasn't a first one, but no, I don't think we need to kill them. It's fine. And then his wife just pops in the corner. Yeah, I think we should have a second genocide. I mean, a first genocide. We should kill him. And it's like, and he's like, so you want them all the Jews dead, all the women, the children, and their whole families and all that? Yes, I would want them all dead. It's like, no,
damn.
And really? And then there was just silence because they're all staring at her, and she's like, you're looking at me all weird, and it's like, well,
yeah, man.
The hell to say to you after that? Because it's like, because he's doing the thing where like you try to ask plain questions and you're trying to talk to them in good faith and not like sit there and make fun of them and say, why would you think that? You're stupid. But then like once you get to that point, you're just kind of like, oh.
So this reminds me a lot of like in a way it's almost like a closet fetish type thing, to where I've gone down many a rabbit hole with depravity, and not me personally, but just in my internet research for. Yeah, I used to work third shift, and that led me down some really boring nights of just like trawling the internet for just weird shit to amuse myself.
Any nights listening to Coast to Coast?
Yeah, I mean, for real. And like I've listened to a lot of Joe Rogan, and it's kind of whatever. But anyway, the one thing I came across was this. It's a thing it's called human pups, and It is one of the most fascinating things to me, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's totally besides the point. But
is
essentially,
this a glorious tournament of victory entry?
Possibly.
Write it down just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like essentially. But a human pup is a very specific fetish where a person, usually it's a man, is in a completely homemade leather dog suit. And they want to be treated like a dog. And it's
yes.
It's perhaps the most cringy thing you can imagine. And it makes me really uncomfortable to look at like, yeah. And I apologize. Yeah. It's
that should be our cover photo for this week's show.
Oh gosh!
Please don't.
Get us kicked off whatever we're actually on.
But I feel like there is some correlation with like the amount of insane like political viewpoints people have now, because it's like, not only do I want to be a bigot, racist, but I want all these people to be murdered, and I want to like. I'm totally gonna be a Nazi, and it's like they can't just simply be like, I like to wear a collar or something in bed. It's like no, I want to literally spend 3 days of the week dressed as a leather dog.
Aren't you guys fascinated with the thought process that goes into this? I am. I want to know what.
But then it always gets to that point where it's just weird,
but that's the part that fascinates me. It's like, how do you go from being whatever you were to the point where you wake up one day and go, I'm wearing a dog costume today? I mean, that just fucking blows my mind.
I guess, but like again, like you always, whenever you go down that rabbit hole, eventually you get to the point where it just starts to get creepy, and it's like, all right, I'm pulling out. Like
it's creepy right from the get go. But I just think it just amazes me. It's like there has to be. It isn't something that you just kind of. I mean, you have to make the decision at some point, don't you? where you say, yeah, today's the day I'm going to go all the way. I'm wearing the dog outfit. Or is it just a thing where you wake up one day and go, well, I think I'll try out being a dog? I mean, I don't know how it works.
Well, I think like the example that in the show that I was watching too, the host guy, he's a comedian, but so like it's framed around him doing a comedy show, and then they cut to the bits, kind of like a Seinfeld episode, but weirder. But basically, the guy at the end is he kind of describes how this sort of rationale develops, and I'm sure it's the same with dog person as it is with neo-Nazi to a degree, where you're having for the neo-Nazi guy, you live a hard life. Bad shit happens to you. Your wife leaves you, cheats on you. It's your job. You get passed over for promotion, and you say, well, you're down on your luck, and then you read one pamphlet that's like, well, the Jews control everything, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'll blame. I lost my job because of the Jews. That's right. And then something else bad happens to you. Well, kids, damn, maybe they're onto something. Maybe it is the Jews doing everything, and it just slowly builds to a point where you've had so many bad things go against you that all of a sudden it's, yeah, I hate Jews openly and freely. And then for dog guy, for example, it's like, oh yeah, no, I like dogs. Oh yeah, there's a cartoon drawing of two cartoon dogs that are kind of sexy. That's fun. Oh, wouldn't it be funny to like dress up as
maybe I don't want to know the thought process after all.
See what you did, Greg.
So there's actually a YouTube channel called Down the Rabbit Hole that's fascinating, and totally he did a episode on like the advent of like furry culture. Oh. And it actually started. It's kind of funny. It started.
I think I hate furries more than I do leather dog people. Like
they're kind of one and the same. But the furries began as actually an animation thing, to where it was a like comic book kind of thing, to where they had like a newsletter and a magazine, and it was just about like anthropomorphic animals and like pushing boundaries as far as like content, but nothing like sexual or fetishy weird about it. And they started having conventions to discuss this and kind of celebrate it a little bit in the early, I think very late 80s, early 90s. And the conventions started getting hijacked by people who just wanted to wear like mascot costumes and fuck. And so like there were massive camps and multiple movements within the furry thing of people that are like, these perverts are ruining this for us. They're hijacking this thing, this comic book thing, and they're making it just like about blowing one another while wearing, dog heads. And it just became this thing to where they completely lost control of it. And now it's utterly a lifestyle-y thing. So
was this like so basically it's that Anakin clip from episode 3. Oh no, what have I done?
Basically, I just want to point something out really quick from last week's show, the Ask Us Anything. The person that asked, will we ever cover esports? Now you can see why it's never even going to be on the table. We will never, ever, ever run out of content on the show. I promise you.
I mean, okay. Because can't believe we've gotten to this point, but God damn it, we have.
Hey.
Because Zach tried to explain how someone becomes a neo-Nazi with how someone becomes another dog man, I feel the need to share this. There are Nazi furries.
Well,
of course.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, there's a Venn diagram for anything. So
right.
I get it.
The Third Reich.
I just think that I'm sorry, and it shouldn't be, but a guy dressed in a fucking wolf costume with a swastika is just hilarious to me. Like, you don't even know what the fuck you're trying to be at this point. And you're not doing either one very well, to be completely honest about it. Pick a lane, bro.
It feels like a lot of mixed messages and it's like pick a lane here, man. Like if you want to like push the like good American Nazi agenda or whatever, it's like, okay, well, let's focus on that. It's like, it's really distracting when you're trying to tell me about how, yeah, because you can't push your
Nazis hate gays and blacks and all that, but they're okay with,
furries, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but Wile Coyote walking up to me in a Nazi outfit, I'm just gonna find funny. I can't take you seriously in either direction. Sorry, you're a bad Nazi and you're a bad furry. Like, you're just not good at either one.
could you imagine a mascot essentially walking up to you and saying, "Heil Hitler," and just like doing the whole thing and like?
It would be awful, but my God, it would crack me up. I'm sorry. I know that would be terrible. I'm not trying to diminish what they would say at all, but that would be fucking hilarious. I would just have to start laughing. I'd be like, this is the biggest joke I've ever seen. If you're an idiot, you're dressed in a Wile E. Coyote costume with a swastika armband on your arm, and I'm supposed to take you seriously?
Well, technically, it's a Third Reich armband. He's got like a little, it's like a Nazi thing with a paw.
It's a dog paw instead of a swastika.
And let's not forget, back in the 40s, Donald Duck.
I didn't have the picture blown up. No, I see it. The dog paw makes it. The paw makes it fucking Polish. I'm sorry.
The main guy that they interviewed for this, he calls himself Foxler.
Of course, yeah. They're all like. So the best part is if you scroll down, there's a picture further down where he's like got his arms crossed and he's trying to look all badass, but he's at a bank. And you can kind of
beach.
There's one. Is he in a restaurant? Maybe it's a bar. It's a restaurant. Okay, because you can see the "Please wait to be seated" sign up there. and it's. I just imagine. I mean, it takes a lot of balls to just own that, I guess. But at the same time, like these are keystone moments where. Like we all have to kind of make eye contact and ask ourselves, it's like, what have we done? Like where did we fail this person to where like they felt like the ultimate expression of who they were is in wearing a Nazi fox costume.
Well, maybe it's not that we failed them; it's that we supported them too much.
I go along with that. I think. I guess you could look at him as kind of like the, I don't know, Smokey Bear or McGruff the Crime Dog I don't know. This is just, again, the thought process fascinates me. It's like at somewhere along the way, he had to make the decision, I'm going to put on a dog outfit and look like a Nazi. Yeah. And I just think that is just an amazing path to lead to that decision. It's like,
I don't necessarily want to speak for everybody, and I hope that this isn't like outing me as one of these people, but
too late.
I think as kids, we grew up watching cartoon shows, and sometimes there's a lot of these anthropomorphic characters that are cartoons, and there's always a female love interest, and sometimes a young boy will be like, that's a pretty hot rabbit or something.
Yeah, Lola Bunny was smoking.
Right. Sure, Lola Bunny, Gadget from Rescue Rangers.
I can say it now. This show has finally gotten too weird for me.
Well, I know exactly.
It's almost 8 years, but here we are.
It starts off as something innocent, and then you develop, and then for some people, it clearly goes a hell of a direction. Like again, if you're on the internet, and you've ever been to a pornographic website, which they exist. I don't want to shock you, but there's you would be amazed at just how much the amount of cartoon porn probably dwarfs the amount of human porn that exists.
Really,
it's really kind of weird. not to kink shame anybody, but
yeah, I don't want to say part of the whole wearing of that stuff is obviously a freedom of speech thing. It's a expression thing, and I don't want to I feel like it's one thing to ridicule that, but I don't want to but I feel like that's this part and parcel with embracing an easily ridiculed lifestyle, is that it's like, well, you're opening yourself up for criticism. I don't know. I think it's a fine line.
Look, if you want to go out and wear a dog costume and fuck people in other dog costumes, I got no issue with that. Whatever makes you vote for.
God damn it!
Damn
that's
straight.
Your right.
Sure.
But when you bring the Nazi thing into it, that's a problem. I'm sorry. I just
And I mean, I know that we're kind of in this weird area between no sports and a hyper politicized world. And we've obviously been talking about a lot of that stuff for the last however long. But and I'm on a limited time budget here, so I kind of want to discuss things a little bit here with you while we can. I don't understand, and maybe you guys can continue to help me with this, is that we kind of discussed it on the board a little bit. Why are Nazis and Confederates still a thing? Why does this keep happening? Why do they keep it's one thing to sit here and argue about, Democrats versus Republicans. At least that's contemporary. But like, it's almost like, where the hell did this Confederate thing come from? And so I guess that is somewhat topical and related to sports, because they did just ban it in NASCAR, and they did ban it in NASCAR.
Way too late, but they finally did it. I mean, it should have never taken the current climate for them to ban that flag.
Didn't they try a few years ago? And it just never, and like instead people just showed up with more Confederate flags.
That's what's probably going to happen here too, to be completely honest about it.
Yeah, but this one seems a little bit more permanent.
Like they're actually going to have people to confiscate this shit. Hopefully.
Well, I know it's hard to believe, because we know what that flag represents and we know what it means to, like, for black people to see it and all that. But there are people that truly honestly believe they truly honestly believe that it's part of Southern heritage.
Well, okay,
that it's not just about the Civil War, it's about being from the South. And that, I mean, I guess, but that's like saying, well, flying the old Iron Cross flag that the Third Reich used or whatever. Yeah, it's part of your heritage, but not necessarily a very good part of it.
It's part of their history, but not heritage.
Their history, but yeah.
So to answer Andy's question, because I actually have a definitive, the Nazi one is a bit different, but I can answer where this Confederate shit came from. It's actually,
I think the Nazi one is more unforgivable than the Confederacy one, because it's just like
it
you have to
who you
choose that.
Yeah. So for the Confederate thing, basically what happened is that, so first thing I'm going to say is that the statement that winners write history is a load of bullshit. Because losers write history. Losers write history plenty of times, and the Civil War was one of those times, because in order to facilitate Reconstruction and a peaceful reunification of the country after the Civil War, it was decided that a lot of the old leaders of the Confederacy who led that secession, who led that push, would be allowed to retain huge degrees of influence, if not outright political leadership in their states. And the result of that was what was called the Lost Cause, where a lot of former Confederate leaders in the southern states glorified the Confederate cause as this noble but lost crusade, and that it wasn't just about slavery, it was about states' rights and all that bullshit. And the North, the Union, the rest of the country, never challenged them on that, because it was seen as necessary to allow this to happen in the South in the name of a peaceful and complication-free reunification of the country.
It was kind of like a therapy almost to help them talk their way. It's like, that's, you guys just go ahead and keep telling yourselves that we'll reestablish commerce.
Basically,
you guys tell yourself whatever the hell you want. We kicked your ass and we do it again, but that's fine. We'll just reestablish the commerce.
Basically, that's what happened. No, but basically that's what happened. And as a result, you have, generation after generation of people, born and raised in the southern United States who, came to believe that, this flag is part of our heritage. And, it wasn't all about slavery. You can't say it was just about slavery. And, it's all bullshit, because, like, again, the vice president of the Confederate States of America, in his inauguration, at the inaugural address, gave a speech where he said the foundation of our country is that the black man is inferior to the white man and should be enslaved. Like, the dude, like the fucking second most powerful man in the Confederacy said that on the day he was sworn in. So it's like, no, the Confederacy, the whole Civil War about slavery should be on a shadow of a doubt. But because of this lost cause bullshit, because the Union kind of went out of their way to be like, all right, like, you guys, we're not going to be too hard on you guys, like, tell yourselves whatever you need to tell yourselves, that resulted in where we're at today, where you have people who legitimately ride and die for that flag.
Well, okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second here. So based on that, let's say that you're a guy from South Carolina who does not have the history background that you have. Is it is he wrong? I mean, like if that's what he was taught, and he thinks that it's not at all about slavery, which of course we all know that that's not necessarily the case. But and I'm not condoning anything. I'm just saying I'm starting to understand why they want to die on that hill with that flag. I get it, sort of. Well, I don't think it's right, but I do understand it.
Is he wrong? I wouldn't say wrong necessarily. I'd say misinformed.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So
but here's the other part though. The large majority of the people that fly this flag, wear it as a sweatshirt, wear it on a hat, wear it as a bumper sticker, have Crocs with the design on it, whatever the hell. They're not exactly in the most well-educated portions of the country, right? So what have they been told versus what you might learn in a more populous area or something like that? Because I think it's just a lot of idiots that are just like Southern pride and we don't care. And
that's what I mean. I mean, I'm not condoning it, but I think I'm beginning to get a better understanding, because I was always like, it's a flag. It's a flag you lost. And if you're really the Americans that you say you are, fly the American flag.
Well, I mean, that is the fundamental thing, the fundamental contradiction with the Confederate flag, and to an extent the Nazi flag too, because the United States did go to war with Nazi Germany, is that, if you claim to be a proud American, you're like, I'm proud of this country and the values that, supposedly proud of the values that it represents. Then, why are you also flying a flag, in the case of the Confederacy, of people who actively rebelled against this country, or the case of the Nazi flag?
Legally declared traitors. Traitors to this country that you love so dearly.
Yes.
Right.
Or in the case of the Nazi flag, a country and a regime that, this country declared war on. So it's this really weird juxtaposition. And it's actually fascinating if you look at, for example, the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Just like the one thing, like a lot of awful shit came out of that. A lot of good shit came out of that, insofar as I think like the sheer shock that it caused pushed a lot of these people back underground. But I think that one of the inconsequential things that I took away from it is that, God damn it, fascists really kind of have an identity issue, because like you saw every sort of flag under the sun at that thing. Like Nazi flags, Confederate flags, American flags, Gadsden flags. Like you had, Identity Europa flags, and it's like
I'm sorry, I can't give them the Gadsden flag. No, that one we get to keep that one. Sorry, they don't get that one.
The far right rides hard for that live or die or liberty or death flag with the snake. Like that's
they kind of co-opted that.
It's don't tread on me is actually
don't tread on me. Yes.
They took it. I hate to say it, right?
But and don't tread on me, the Confederate flag, especially the Confederate flag. It's almost like they are. It's not so much like the history of it, because like the history of it's kind of all lost in kind of in a gray area to a lot of these people. It's not important to the now. And I think I read something on the board. Somebody posted this where they said the Confederate flag is basically this emblem of rebellion, and how everyone in the South organically has a little rebel in them. And it's kind of like this. It's like, we're not waving the flag because of slavery. We're waving the flag because we're proud of being the outlaw demographic in all this. And it's like,
that's absolutely true.
But the great thing about flags, though, and I wish I could explain this to him, is that you can make a different one. And, there's all sorts of cool shit you can do. Make a new one. Like, even the goddamn, even a pirate flag, like, granted, pirates were, like, collectively, like, all horrible, like, rapists and drunks and evil people. But their flag looked pretty cool.
Well, and you wanna know one of the greatest group of rebels the world has seen?
Oh God,
the United goddamn States
of America. George Washington.
No, you know what?
We rebelled and won. Use that.
Well, and you know what? If you want to take it a step further, if you really want to represent the rebellious nature of the South and the fuck the government, we're not going to surrender no matter what, fly the Seminole Nation flag, because that is the only Native American nation in this country that has never signed a peace treaty with the United States government. They were like, fuck you, we're staying here in Florida, kiss our asses, blah, blah, blah. And now they have a great big casino in Tampa. So there you go. If you want to really, really capture the spirit of it, fly their flag.
And
I'd be 100% behind that.
You got to respect someone who fought to stay in Florida.
That's right. Really.
Well, the thing is, though, like, you couldn't, because the thing is, though, they can't just have one flag. So if they somehow, if they somehow got their hands on a Seminole flag, they'd fly it up with the Confederate flag, with the American flag, and with the Nazi flag. And it's weird. Like, it's so contradictory to see this. And I was actually talking to my lady the other day about this. We were talking about this, our flag on the front of our house. We have like this generic, welcome flag. It's got a sloth on it. It's weird and it's fine. It's forgettable. But like we both like agreed, like, we're not putting an American flag up on our porch. Like, that's just not going to happen. And it's almost like I would feel worried if I did fly an American flag in my porch, just because I feel like people would see that and be like, oh God, like, really? Like, you feel good enough to fly the flag right now? And it sucks. God, it sucks to like just have to be like ashamed,
I don't take it that far. I think that we, and again, you guys have got to remember that the Jim Crow stuff was, I don't remember it because I was too young, but it was taking place in my lifetime. So I've seen great, incredible change take place. There's still a ways to go, I'll be the first to admit. But I don't know that, every country has its issues, and we certainly have ours. And I don't know that the couple, and I won't say a couple of bad things because that really kind of discounts it. I don't mean it that way. But the things that have happened in the past couple months, while awful, I don't think completely just discount everything we've done before that, if that makes sense. I don't want to sound like I'm some jingoistic, rah-rah America type, but I'm not ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Today the United States Supreme Court upheld that,
right.
Which is just
LGBT
amazing.
People are protected, under anti-discrimination laws. So,
Mike, if you had come to me and said this Supreme Court was going to make that ruling, I would have said, dude, I don't know what kind of acid you're on.
No, I know. Like, I got the CNN alert, and I was like, I had to like double take.
But I guess my point is that it, as many problems as we have, it could be worse. We could be Saudi Arabia, or we could be, somewhere. Mike would know the countries. I don't know them correctly, but in Africa, where they've got.
I'll tell you who you ain't. You ain't Canada.
Well, of course not. But then who is?
Oh, Canada.
Damn straight. I'm with you, brother, on that.
I liked Trevor Noah and the Daily Show starting the petition for Canada to invade the United States.
As long as we get to keep 4 downs in football, I'm all for it. This year has been very interesting in the fact that the Pentagon released videos that basically says, yeah, UFOs are real. And here they are. Take a look. And not 2 weeks later, NASA releases a thing that says, we found a parallel universe where time runs backwards. And nobody gave a shit about either one.
There was also the first ever repeated radio sequence that we've heard from space before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that too?
Oh,
yeah. They actually they basically got an answer back in like the whole set shit, and like nobody cares.
Nobody knows it's true.
You know what it probably is? Look at all the shit that's happening. The aliens are like, is everything okay down there?
I'll be like, you're going near that place. Are you kidding me?
you doing all right? We got a broadcast from the leader of your most powerful country who's talking about like eating soap. Is everything okay?
I did not hear about the radio thing. No.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I mean, though. Yeah. I mean, that's how crazy it's been. Is that these 3 things, which all should really be stopping your tracks news stories, and nobody even talking about them. No, I mean, I didn't even, and me being the space dork that I am, didn't even know about the repeat radio signal, which is huge news. It's just,
it's June 15th, and I have no idea how it's only June 15th.
I'm convinced,
I swear to God, like, I know we joke like, oh, I've lost all time concept of time in the quarantine. It's not even losing concept of time in quarantine. It's that the amount of just shit in general that has gone on.
It's just been really just an awful year. It's just been terrible from the start.
I'm convinced that July is going to start up and like we're going to have to deal with fucking Cthulhu. So
that guy and Godzilla and King Kong could all show up and like we're going to have a fucking pay-per-view right in the middle of Oklahoma, and I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right. Nothing would surprise me at this point. I'm not kidding. Nothing. When the aliens we're like, here's the Pentagon going, yep, they're real. And then the parallel universe where time appears to run backwards, and now the repeat signal from space, and no one's even batting an eye. And we've had murder hornets, and what else? The list goes on and on.
Well, not only that, but I got a CNN alert that apparently meteorologists all agree that this year's hurricane season is going to be 40% more active than last year.
That's what you want during the pandemic is 100-mile-an-hour winds blowing shit everywhere. So.
Yeah, so
you want to get people outside, make them evacuate for a hurricane. Oh, and hey, wait, where's the place where everyone's trying to send their leagues to restart? Oh, Florida.
Good job,
Could you
everyone.
imagine if a hurricane blows through Orlando and we lose like the Denver Nuggets?
Would that really be a loss, though? Like, if the Nuggets, come on, we can replace the Nuggets.
I think the Hawks actually would be the one I'd be like, yeah, okay, well, that's fine.
No, we can't lose the Hawks because they have one of those old-timey NBA titles from the
1955 or something.
Yeah. And I have a
Hawks
soft spot for obscure shit like that. It's like, no, we've lost the 1956 St. Louis Hawks NBA champions.
Did the Nuggets ever win an ABA title?
I don't know ABA titles.
I think so.
I know the Kentucky Colonels because I like them because my family's from Kentucky. When the ABA, I'm like, oh, Kentucky's got a team, great. I know the Colonels won a couple. I know that Doc and the Nets won a couple, but I don't even know how long that league lasted. What, 6-7 years?
Yeah.
So all I know about the Nuggets is that David Thompson played for him.
All I know about them is that Carmelo happened for a while. Honestly.
But yeah,
right.
No, I guess you're right, Mike. Well, no, you want to take a team that would be like would anybody even notice? It's got to be like the Sacramento Kings, right?
Oh, I like them.
Yeah, that's not right either. But who can we? Okay, like in the NBA,
the Hornet Cats.
No, because that would cause a whole debate. Like, who do we really lose? We lose the Bobcats, the original Hornets, the new Hornets,
and it's Michael Jordan's the owner, so that's
no, that's just too much damn trouble. I get where you're coming from, but
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, would we really lose much if we lost the Grizzlies?
No. I mean, sorry, Memphis, and you'd be fine. Believe me, you could go to Beale Street and watch the Blues and forget it ever happened.
I don't know, Clippers. We could lose the Clippers easily. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, good point.
Well, no, the thing, of course, that is on the table is because of these stupid quarantine tournaments. This is the year that the Clippers and the Maple Leafs will win their championships, right?
And everyone's going to just credit it, yeah.
Yeah, no, they'll never be allowed to, no, we did sure he did. Who was there? Nobody saw it. What are you talking about? It was on TV. I don't recall.
How long do you think it's going to be before we finally just start letting fans go back to games?
2021 sometime.
I think the NFL will do it.
I think the NFL will do it too. I think college football will too.
No, NFL's going to do it because, Andy brought up a good point when we first talked about this. You've got people who live and die by the end, who are who will raise hell if you don't let them into that stadium.
Well, yeah. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I just, part of me thinks if you can't come back full bore, don't come back at all. But
I kind of liked the idea of baseball without any fans because, again, for the reasons we talked about, every single time that someone curses on that field, it was going to get picked up by the mic. Some guy fucking swings and misses shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, now that I think about it, wasn't NASCAR starting with limited amounts of fans?
I think at Talladega they're going to start with limited amounts. I haven't really been following it because I thought I'd be excited when it came back, and it just weirds me out watching races with no fans in the stands, which is odd because you can't hear them anyway. But I don't know. It's just strange. The whole thing is strange to me.
To get us into something that is, not as doom and gloomy, kind of something that we like talking about in our wheelhouse, we have some uniform news.
Yes. The Toronto Raptors.
The Toronto Raptors potentially getting new uniforms. The rumor is that they're going to be a version of the North uniforms that they won the title in, only with the North replaced by Raptors.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you can't change your championship look after just winning the championship.
Although the Rockets did it.
And you're still the defending NBA champs right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I hope if they do this silly thing that they're going to do, I hope that the Raptors win it again, just to piss everybody off, just to make it perfect. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what they do. I know they're going to tweak the logo a little bit too. I hope not too much because I kind of like the logo as it is. And for the life of me, why they didn't go with that for the ring is just anybody's guess, because that would have been such a cool looking championship.
Oh yeah, the ball that'd be perfect.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been perfect?
Yeah,
would have been an awesome.
Instead they wanted to do
the North.
The North. We the North.
If I was one of the players, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go design my own with the balls. It's going to look better.
So here's my thing with trying to make that design with the Raptor word mark. It doesn't work because it doesn't make sense. Like, it was the North, and so it was pointing upwards, and now it's just Raptors, so it's like, what does that even symbolize?
Well, the reason is because the chevrons have been part of the brand since like the Vince Carter years, since like when they first got
the side,
when they first got rid of the of the pajama, the Raptor on the front, they first got rid of their inaugural look. Ever since that look, they've had the chevrons like on the sides, and so I guess the argument is that we're just taking that chevron that's always been there, we're putting it on the front.
Ah, okay.
I mean, honestly, to be perfect, I kind of like the idea because, like, my big problem with the uniform that they won in was that it didn't say Toronto or Raptors on it. It said North. And that bugged me a great deal. And so this is sort of a way to sort of take that championship look, like the look that they won the title in, but also kind of make it acceptable. And, I think the chevron on the front is a way to kind of like make the team stand out in a way without being too garish. It's not a stupid gradient, or it's nothing dumb like a sublimated like sweat stain like the Sixers had on their gray alternates for a while. Like it's just a chevron, right? So it's like
those sweatshirt uniforms are in concept probably the worst uniform concept that I could think of in a while.
The only one I can think that's even remotely as bad is the Orlando Magic like Galaxyscape ones.
Oh yeah, but at least that's interesting to look at.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that was supposed to be the Rocky sweatshirt.
Yeah, you're just like, why does it look like a dingy gray sweater? But yeah, so the chevron I think is a cool touch, and the only thing that I really have is if this happens and they go through with this chevron design, like just keep the purple throwback around for a few nights and I'll be happy. But I guess broadly speaking, as far as like the Raptors go, a lot of people are like, they should bring back the purple. And I'm a Raptors fan who was a little kid when the brand debuted, and so I've got a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in that, and I'm kind of over it. Like, the purple is the time has come and gone for the Toronto Raptors as a full-time purple team. Like, they won as a red and white team. They became relevant as a red and white team. Like, that's what they are. So they should probably just run with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And please, I know it's not going to happen, guys, but is it possible that we can get a full Toronto Raptors uniform set without a black and gold uniform? Can we dial the Drakeness back just a bit?
Bite your tongue, man. You can't do that. That's Drake we're talking about here, global ambassador.
No, I heard the Maple Leafs are going to have a Drake uniform.
No. No,
would you rather have the Maple Leafs have a Drake design uniform or a Justin Bieber design uniform?
I think I'd rather burn down the arena.
Or would you rather have the graffiti?
Oh, I'd rather have the graffiti. Like, I'd rather have the because at least the graffiti is like Like if they were like okay, if the Maple Leafs dug some old sketches out of like the archives and were like, hey, look at this dumb 90s jersey we almost made like 30 years ago. Like we're gonna make it and wear it for a game. Like I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Like just have like a stupid 90s night and be like, this is what we almost did. That would be fun. Like that would be fun as sort of just a one-off thing, I think. But no on like the Toronto Maple Leafs going with a Drake uniform is the closest I'll probably ever like that get to me actually yelling like the Office gif of like, no, dear God, no, please. Like come on, like okay, like not to disparage the Raptors, but they are a newer team, right? And so they have a degree of liberty when it comes to like you can do Drake night for the Raptors. That's fine. But like the Toronto Maple Leafs, man, like not like pre-06 team, like charter founding member of the league in 1997. Like, come on. No Drake night.
Speaking of, while we're on hockey jerseys, I think the only hockey jersey news we had is that when the NHL has its playoff format, the Coyotes are going to wear the Kachinas for their designated road game or home games.
I saw that.
So the thing about those uniforms, and here's a dirty secret: I actually had one of those jerseys as a kid.
Oh, I've got one. I've got one.
I
remember when I lived there.
I remember when I was a little kid, we went into Toronto, went to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I got that from the gift shop because I just thought it looked cool. And so I actually do have a degree of nostalgia attached to it, but I just don't like it's one of those things where it's like the concept can work, but I don't think that uniform as it exists does it the best way possible.
I agree. I think I've seen some great Kachina concepts with the current color scheme.
Oh yeah, those look wonderful. I love those. Yeah,
where it's toned down because it's like when the Coyotes first went to the Red Wings-esque look, where it was just too simple. There was really nothing to it, and there was no reason that the Coyotes of all teams needed to go that way.
Well, I think that was a Gretzky call because he's like a traditional hockey man.
Yeah, well, Gretzky as an executive of any sort is well.
Gretzky and Jordan, very similar career trajectories in that regard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what they say, though. Rare is the great player that translates into a great, coach or front office person.
With Wayne, it's because he just had an instinctive knack for the game that you can't coach, right? So it's like, well, why didn't you see 3 plays ahead?
Right.
Because I'm not you, Wayne.
Like I told you guys before, I saw him at the tail end when he was with the Rangers, and still when he was on the ice, he was still amazing to watch because you could just see him seeing the ice differently than everybody else did. It's hard to explain unless you could watch it up close and in person, but it was really, really cool. But you could see what made him so great. It was just amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, the Kachina uniforms, I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I like the original, Red Wings-esque look that they had. I didn't really like, but the current one that the Coyotes have isn't half bad. I don't mind it.
No, it's fine.
But the Kachina one is one where it's I like the ideas, but I don't know if this is the best way to do it. But I doubt that they'll just bring that back anyway. So if this is just we're going to redesign the uniforms, but this is just a peek at what we have in mind, then I guess that's cool.
Maybe it's even a thing where there's not going to be any home fans and it's just for fun. So let's just wear the cool throwback.
Leave it to what would be perfect NHL? If they stepped in, were no, you did not file the appropriate paperwork for this alternate uniform. It'd be really in your bullshit truncated season tournament, you're gonna like take away one of the exciting things people are actually kind of looking forward to.
You're gonna draw a line in the sand over that, right?
I mean, they probably like this league would fucking do that because it's run by garbage people. But have you guys seen what the Coyotes almost went to as their primary uniform?
No.
So this was actually posted in the unused uniform thread on the CCSLC. This was going to be the Coyotes uniform when they relocated from Winnipeg before the Picasso Coyote was conceived.
Oh, this is going to be...
Enjoy.
Is this going to be as bad as I think it's going to be?
It's amazing. It's an angry coyote with a hockey stick.
Is it Brandios?
Might as well be.
It might as well be. Just check it out.
It's Angry Coyote with a hockey stick. Mike's exactly right.
My computer's taking a minute to load.
Oh man, that is too perfect.
Like, God.
That is so minor league looking. I'm sorry, but it really is. It's so minor league. Oh wow, Angry Coyote with a hockey stick. That's got to be Brandios.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
my God. That's. I don't even have words for that.
I do. It's C or ECHL.
Like you said, yeah, minor league.
Yeah.
So someone else said it in that thread.
That's really bad.
So someone else said it in this thread. Like, imagine in a world where the Picasso Coyote didn't exist, and this was like the Coyotes logo up until like the Red Wings redesign. Could you imagine the complete lack of nostalgia anyone would have? Like people like the Picasso Coyote because it's weird and it's different and it's like the Kachina stripes are cool. But imagine if they went with this.
No,
well, that's
nobody
horrible.
would give a shit.
No. It was. The team is. They're not even still there if they wear this. That's how bad it would be.
Wait, you think this actually gets them relocated?
Yeah, they would move back to either back to Winnipeg or they'd be in Quebec, but they wouldn't even be there anymore.
If the on-ice performance is the exact same, and this is what they looked like,
and this is the brand that they had to try to,
there would be nothing.
Well, the great thing is that if you go through that thread after this post, it's like every 5 posts is someone quoting that image and then posting an actual minor league hockey logo that looks exactly like it.
Well, yeah, that's a template. I mean, the angry mascot holding a stick.
Right. It's been a trope on this show from day one. Angry whatever holding a hockey stick. Yeah, it's just a matter of what it is. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, anyway, guys.
Look at that and determine which one's the one that would actually go on the front of the jersey.
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. Probably just the single him with skates, angry hockey stick or angry Coyote with skates.
Might think, but I don't know if you'd be right.
Okay, here's what I think would happen. Here's what I think would happen based off of just like the time period all of this was made in. So the main one, right, where the larger of the 3 logos, I think that goes on the front of the jersey.
Oh wow.
I think they put the coyote with the skates. That's just the coyote with the skates. I think they put him on the shoulders, and then the full body coyote with the diamond behind him. I think that gets thrown on some merch before it's just
right
unceremoniously dumped without any
Yeah.
I'm standing by that. If they would have gone with this, they're not even in Phoenix or Arizona anymore. They're gone. Because I'm sorry, but you can watch a team that looks like this for a whole lot less money down the road in Tucson or wherever. You know.
See, now this isn't the only one, but this was one of the logos posted in that thread, and it's got to be the best one.
Also, for anybody who's actually seen a coyote, that barely looks like a coyote.
It looks like Scooby Doo if he was really pissed. That's a jackalopes.
Yeah, take a look at it.
Yeah.
Angry fictional rabbit animal with a hockey stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious because like the thing that really, and I don't know what the context is of this, but the fact that it says like final logo design makes me think that this was what they were gonna do until.
Or is that like the final logo design of this?
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think that's
proposal.
of this campaign. Yeah, I don't think it's the final.
Because it would, if that was the final thing, and then they drastically shift to the Kachina stuff, I don't know how you even get from one to the other.
No,
Well,
I think that's this company's final pitch. Like, this is our final. This is what
I
we've done.
I like the idea that, this was the best that they could do, and there was some designer in an utter pit of despair, like, okay, we're gonna really no, and then
No, hold on. I have a question.
Yeah.
So is this? Did they confirm that this is what it was going to be for when they moved from Winnipeg, or was this when they moved to Glendale?
Winnipeg, according to the.
Because here's the thing: as I look at it a little bit more, the stick itself with the feathers on the butt end of it, and the design on the blade, looks exactly like the stick that the Kachina logo holds.
Mm.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder what this design came out of, really. Like, did they make a cartoony one and then make the more traditionally designed one?
Maybe this was maybe the team said, okay, look, we want like a, I guess minor league one, for lack of a better way of putting it, cartoonish one, and we also want, I don't know, because that stick is essentially the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if either the company that did the Picasso logo and all that stole it.
Oh, okay.
Or the same company.
So I read the article that was linked on the post, and basically what happened was that this cartoony logo, this minor league logo, was one of the designs that the team came up with through a branding agency, and they sent it into the NHL. And the NHL said no.
Yeah, you play in the NHL, right? Not the Eastern Coast Hockey League or whatever it is.
And then so according to this article, the team took it and they're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to refine the concept, and that's why you see stuff like the stick carries over, right? Because they were basically taking this and then reworking it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a start from scratch and do it over again.
Yeah, so this was basically according to this article, the team hired a branding agency to come up with its logo. This is what they came up with, and they sent it to the NHL, and the NHL said no.
I don't blame them. No. This is what the Toledo Coyotes wear, not what an NHL team wears.
No, literally, this is like a logo for the mascot, not a logo for
this is
the team.
This is the logo for the Coyotes AHL affiliate who shares
right. Or the ECHL, something along those lines. Yeah. It's not an NHL logo, not by any definition. And it's not even a particularly good minor league logo, to be honest about it.
No, it looks like every other minor league hockey logo.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's wild.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, fellas, we're closing in on 2 hours here, so let's wrap it up.
I just want to finish it up by saying, imagine in a world where we got a Stanley Cup final between the Toronto Maple Leafs in the graffiti look and the Phoenix Coyotes in this look.
Now, that would have been a classic, I have to admit.
That would have been
a stone cold classic. You're absolutely right.
Eat your heart out, Habs versus Bruins.
The Maple Leafs with an X versus those with the angry Coyote with the hockey stick. Come on.
I'm trying to think, just on that one thing before we go. I can't think of the worst jersey that's ever played in a Stanley Cup final.
Trying to.
Did Pittsburgh ever wear the Robo?
No, they didn't.
In the final, okay.
I've actually got two actually. So one of them is Penguins. It's when they were wearing their edge templated with uniforms with the beige.
Yeah, but I almost give those all a pass because
everyone just had templated bullshit.
Yeah, it wasn't anybody's fault at that point.
Are you you say the worst or just
So another one that I have. So other options. The Senators, when they played your Ducks and they had that stupid red sweater with the swoosh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And the other one I was thinking of is going to be a controversial opinion because a lot of people like this one. but I'm going to say it, and it's the black, red, and silver sabers.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. It was an okay look, but nah.
I get that cup final is probably going to be the one because you have the black red sabers, and then you have the stars in the star template jersey.
In the all-star jersey. Yeah.
Right. That's probably, if you had
the
to
worst
pick
looking one. Yeah.
Because everything else like that you can think of as in at least a recent time, or even in like the 90s, you have the Red Wings and the Devils and the Avalanche and the Lightning weren't bad. Like even
what about the Kings? I remember what they wore. I'm trying to remember.
They
it's
wore
what they currently wear. Their current uniforms.
All right, yeah, it's
They're
not
not
terrible.
bad.
Well, the first year they won was the third. That was still their third jersey. I think.
Okay, yeah.
No, because they switched over because when they were on the road they weren't wearing the purple. Still, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's a good topic for next week, guys. Let's keep that in mind.
Well,
and
the worst
worst jerseys in like Super Bowls, World Series, NHL.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be something fun to talk about. So, but see, again, no esports, not going to happen.
No, why should we were talking about Nazi furries today, man. Like we don't need no.
We went from Nazi furries to Angry Coyote holding a hockey stick. Jesus Christ!
That sounds like a glorious tournament of victory thing. By the way, it's like who wins the unused Coyotes logo or the Nazi furry?
I think that Coyotes logo might be a Nazi furry.
Oh God!
And on that note, we're going to call it a night. We will see you next time. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via Apple Podcast, the Stitcher, the Spreaker, and the YouTubes. We'll be back with more exciting and I don't even know what to call it content next week. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, folks.
Later.